Sousa Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Oh, yes, it is the Pete Sousa Show, coming to you live from the Alico building, high above the other buildings here in Waco, Texas. My name's Scotty Swingler, stepping in for Pete today. I am producing and hosting this show today, so if you are in the comments section and want to give me some feedback on audio or anything else we're doing today, that actually helps me. You can serve as my producer in the role I normally play on this show if you would like to, especially guys like Scotty B and Bear the Truth. Let's go, baby. Hey, this is very simple for me. We're talking college football today, man. I'm just going to stick to what we know. We're going to do some college football. Bear the Truth says just a little echo, nothing huge. Let me look at all my sources here real quick. I don't see any reason it would be echoing. Maybe I'll pull this mic back. Yeah, let's just keep rolling with it. Bear the truth. We'll see if this works. It works for me. We are brought to you by Slovaceks. Thanks so much to the team over there. Hoping they'll jump in with us on some other content here soon. We're going to talk college football today. If you are a college football fan at large and not a Baylor fan, I'm going to encourage you to stick around and or come back in about 35 minutes at 10:40. We're going to have Shehan Jeyarajah of CBS Sports. He's got a new college football podcast I'm going to have him tell us about. And he and I are going to react to the top 25, the AP top 25 of college football. And we're also going to give you our Big 12 preseason polls. Remember, the Big 12 asked the media not to create a preseason poll this year. So Shehan and I are going to do it. We're going to do it for you. We've got some disagreements. We'll talk about that. If you are a college football fan at large, come back then. But for the next 35 minutes or so, we're going to talk about my Baylor Bears. Grayson Grundhoefer of Sikkim 365 coming by in about 15 minutes to give us all the reports from practice. And guys, I'm going to ask him, is there any truth to this chrome helmet rumor that's on X? If you haven't seen, all the Baylor burners talking about the chrome gold helmets coming back for Friday night, August 29th's matchup against Auburn. I'm going to ask him about that. Bear the truth. Is it coming through the microphone? Well, we're going to fix it now, Bear the truth, because, oh, he called it. Hold up. Let's try that. You know what? Let me check this right now. Bear the Truth is serving as my producer real quick. Let me see if it's coming through the computer mic and not this nice microphone in front of my face. Hold on, everybody. This is what we get for flying solo today. Give me a second. Give me just a second. Let's see. Nope. Okay, everyone says we sound better, so let's start this again. Here we go. So Baylor football talk today. Grayson Grundhoefer joining me in about 12 minutes from practice, and then Shehan Jeyarajah later. Is going to be awesome. Thanks, guys, for the feedback. Really appreciate the producers in the comment section. Hey, Pete and I didn't get to this yesterday, even though Bear the Truth asked us to discuss it. We just missing Friday and Monday's show. We had a lot to react to from the NFL, as well as Will Herring join us. But let me start with this. If you're a Baylor fan, we got to just acknowledge what Baylor lost over this past few days. Dawson Pendergrass, junior running back, Mineola product, out for the season. It is a blow. It is a blow. By the way, I've got this in the headline, but Pro Football Focus says Dawson Pendergrass was the 6th best running back coming back to the Big 12 Conference this season as far as PFF grades. And Bryson Washington's number 1. So Baylor with 2 of the top 6 returning running backs in the conference. And don't sleep on what Pendergrass meant to this offense last year as far as a guy that can spell Bryson effectively, right? Bryson, probably a guy capable of being a bell cow type every down back coming out of, I believe he went to Franklin High School. But Dawson really able to spell him was so good for Bryson last season, as well as Dawson just provides a skill set that I'm not sure anybody else on this Baylor roster has. Dawson, the definition of a power back. Dawson, a guy that if it's 4th and 2, 4th and goal, that's a guy you hand the ball to, and he's going to fall forward and get you a yard. He's going to break tackles. As Bear the Truth just pointed out, he's a very efficient blocker, especially in pass pro. So Dawson Pendergrass out for the season is a blow. I do not think it's a blow that is going to severely hamper this offense, but it is a blow. And we are going to be praying for Dawson as he has surgery and recovers. I know that he will come back better than ever. And frankly, coming back next season, perhaps after Bryson departs for the NFL, if all things go his way, maybe Dawson comes back next season with a bigger role. Who knows? But it does lead us to talk about this. And I already see some chatter in the comments about this. Baylor, this is why in every recruiting class, most college football coaches would really like to get a stud at quarterback, running back, and receiver. You really want a stud at all three spots, every class, regardless of your current roster, because things like this happen. The best coaches try to go get a 4-star quarterback every year. Try to get strong running backs, receivers every year. We've talked on the show before about how the Baylor 2026 class has 3 4-star caliber wide receivers, and that is tremendous for Baylor's offense moving forward. Baylor did this last season at the running back position. Baylor was able to secure 2 4-star running backs in the 2025 class. One of those, Caden Knighton, participated in spring practice. Reports from spring practice were strong. I heard a comparison from spring practice of Treston Ebner. Knighton is a guy that can receive passes out of the backfield and make plays on the perimeter very effectively. I assumed before this news that Caden Knighton would be Baylor's 3rd option at running back this season, and probably in a 3rd down type of role where he's coming in on 3rd down to catch passes out of the backfield, maybe a couple of draw plays. He's known as a shifty, speedy guy. He was one of the highest rated recruits out of the state of Oklahoma last year. But you might forget that Baylor also has Michael Turner on the roster. Now, I'm going to ask Grayson here in a few minutes about Michael Turner's role, but he did, as Scotty B just pointed out, tear his MCL as a senior in high school, missing most of his senior year. So he is a bit of an unknown commodity. That being said, Michael Turner was actually rated even higher in last year's class than Caden Knighton was. Baylor truly and really did get 2 stud running backs who were projected to play early in their college careers. So, can you replace Dawson Pendergrass? No. Like, simply put, there is no one-to-one replacement for him on this roster. Can you create that production in other ways? Certainly. I have been encouraged by the report that Knighton has picked up the nickname Mini Scattaboo or Little Scattaboo or whatever in fall camp. That's impressive to me because, again, the comp I had heard in the spring and what I read in his scouting report out of high school was that he was more like a Treston Ebner type. He was going to catch passes out of the backfield, be a perimeter guy. But if he's drawing Scattaboo comparisons in fall camp, that means he's breaking tackles inside the box, right? I mean, that's who Cam Scattaboo is. So I'm very optimistic about Caden Knighton able to handle kind of the ability to spell Bryson in this offense. And if a guy like Joseph Dodds or maybe Michael Turner coming off that injury can take 4 snaps a game to catch a pass or run the ball as well, I still think this is a very strong group. Now, what's unfortunate is the Dawson injury makes this group not nearly as deep. And now you're going to have to keep all these guys healthy through the season. Baylor has had injuries at the running back position galore for the last 5-6 years. I mean, I can't think of a season where a running back played through the whole season, with the exception of like Abram Smith in 21, Lovett and Ebner when they both played heavily under Matt Rule. But other than that, this is a team that has struggled to keep that position group healthy. Knock on wood. Last year was amazing. So start praying your intercessory prayers for Bryson Washington's health, but also the health of some of these other guys on the roster. And of course, we're going to be praying for Dawson Pendergrass's recovery. Let's see what some of you are saying in the comments. You're blowing up my comments about this, and I love it. Let's see. Bear the Truth says tight end room will have to step up. More double tight end sets from Spav. I'm not so sure we will, only because I think this receiving core is going to be a strength of this team as well with Ashton back. So, and Baylor has never used tight ends very heavily. Michael Trigg, of course, it could have a special year as the number 1 guy. We'll see about that. Scotty B pointing out Dawson was supposed to redshirt in 23 and not Bryson, but because Bryson got hurt. Yeah, so Dawson did end up playing as a freshman in 2023. Remember, Dawson came into Baylor as an athlete recruit, not strictly a running back. I think he played multiple positions in high school. I think Mineola is at like a 2A program. So
put him at that running back spot, and he's been electric. Gabriel points out, what's up, Gabriel? I haven't seen you in the comments very often. Glad to see you. Gabriel says, we have a history of doing great with freshman running backs as well. That's true. Yeah. So Dawson, as Scotty B pointed out, Bryson as a freshman, even prior to that, when I don't know if any of you remember power back Terrence Williams played well as a freshman, Johnny Jefferson back in the day, John Lovett and Treston Ebner were both freshmen when they came onto the scene with Matt Rule. So it's a great point. Running back is one of those positions where if you really excel in high school, I don't know that the jump from high school to college is as dramatic as some other positions. Richard Reese, good call out, Gabriel. Yeah, I forgot that he was a freshman when he had his best season at Baylor too. Great call out. Man, wouldn't it be nice to have Richard Reese still on the roster right now? Anyway, I digress on that. I won't go into that. But yeah, running back's one of those spots where if you really excel in high school, the jump from high school to college is not as dramatic as, like, say, quarterback. I think the jump is probably more difficult to make, or offensive line. Certainly that jump is going to be a lot more difficult to make, putting on weight and handling much bigger dudes across from you. But I think running back, your primary skill set as a running back is your vision. So if you've got good vision in high school, that's going to translate. And then the other is just speed and strength. And I hate to say it, it's more of like that brute position where, man, if you're a tremendous athlete, you're just going to figure it out. But I think we've seen that be true for all those freshmen we just named, for Richie Reese, Dawson, Bryson. I do believe it will be the case for Caden Knighton. So did want to discuss that because that was the big story for Baylor football over this past week, and we had not gotten into it yet on this show. I'm going to go ahead and throw to a break. Stick around. Grayson Grundhoefer of Sikkim 365 will be with us next. This is the Pete Sousa Show, live on a rainy Wednesday in Waco. Be right back.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
Back with you from Waco, and Grayson Grundhoefer, our very favorite Sikkim 365, all things Baylor football. Make sure you're following him on X and checking out Sikkim 365 content. What's going on, man?
Man, it's been fun. We're already halfway through fall camp, kind of beyond that, honestly. This is the last week. It's been pretty wild, hasn't it? How just fast this offseason has come and gone.
Dude, I feel like I was at the Texas Bowl just like having my guts ripped out 2 days ago. And here we are getting ready for Auburn on August 29th.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to kind of look at it that way. I know I've been predicting the season on Sikkim365.com. I do it every single year. And so kind of going through those games, and you start with the first one being that Auburn game, which I know a lot of the players talked about at Big 12 Media Days, just kind of this feeling of it's not getting revenge, because obviously you played LSU in the Texas Bowl, but getting another opportunity to face a team that a lot of people perceive as kind of an elite brand in college football.
Absolutely. National championship just 15 years ago. I hate to say that you just can't say that's not an elite brand, right? I mean, it is a big deal. Like coming to Waco, no less. Huge deal for Baylor football. Well, hey, Grayson, I told you we were going to do this. I got to start here. There's a weird culture going on X right now where there's these Baylor burners, right? And for a long time, I thought they were funny. And then I realized a couple of them were shooting me some DMs, and they had some information sometimes that I didn't have about what was going on behind closed doors. So I've started paying attention, and there's a little chatter going on the last couple of days about maybe some chrome helmets returning to the field for Baylor. Do you have any info on that?
No comment, but I will say this, I'm being dead serious. You know, last year there was all that kind of conversation about the anthracite jerseys. And I know on Sikkim 365, those had kind of been hinted at for a while that those were coming. It just was a matter of time. Yeah, I'm not going to say that I know much or can give much away here, but I do think it would be cool, right? I think that's kind of the overall sentiment. If they did decide to do that, if that did happen, man, it would be great. I mean, when I was at Baylor, that was kind of during the heyday of those awesome uniforms where it felt like it changed, every game, this really cool, unique uniform. And the chrome helmets were always my favorite with the black jerseys. That was always my favorite jersey. And so, yeah, it would be great to see.
Could not agree more. I think there's a lot of us, especially you and I, who were at school in that era, who missed the gold rather than the nacho cheese yellow. I think that would be really special. Well, hey, tell us about fall practice, man. What's going on? Give us your overview. Who's popping on the field? Who's impressing you? Maybe some surprises. What are you seeing at fall camp?
Man, a lot. I think the story this past week has been the loss of Dawson Pendergrass, which now gives Baylor 2 starters that they have lost this offseason. The first one being Northwestern transfer safety Devin Turner. Lost him at the end of spring, and then lose Dawson Pendergrass, who is a backup, but he was a de facto starter. I think if you watch Baylor last year, he played a ton and he was going to be a big part of their offense. But I think one thing that was kind of maybe hidden to some people going through the spring was just the emergence of true freshman running back Caden Knighton, a really good player, fantastic. I mean, you go look at his film, great film, very elusive, very fast. Like his straight line speed is something that Baylor doesn't really have in their room. He's the fastest running back on this team, and it's pretty obvious. He really popped in the spring, had multiple really good performances in scrimmages, shows up for fall camp, doing more of the same. And so I think the thing with him, I want to reiterate, the expectation in the spring was he was going to play a ton and that he was going to be a part of this three-headed backfield. It was not going to be just a 1A, 1B for Baylor this upcoming season. I think it was going to be more of a 1A and then 2A, 2B for this team. And now I think it's going to be, a lot of Bryson and a lot of Caden, because you don't want to force Bryson to take on more carries. You want him to be efficient with his carries. And so you got to give other guys opportunities. I think Knighton's going to run with that opportunity. He's a very good pass catcher. Like I said, very explosive in the open field. The one area he does need growth, and this is the same with every young running back, pass protection. And that is something that Dawson brought to the table that really none of the other running backs did. And so I think that's going to be probably the area that they're going to have to try to figure out how they're going to scheme around that. Maybe potentially even putting a tight end in the backfield at times, like a Kelsey Johnson type thing. I think that could be interesting. But I think in general, it's going to be more about kind of a committee approach, right? With the tight ends, with the other running backs, trying to figure out who has it. The other name in the running back position is Joseph Dodds, who I think is coming along nicely after missing all last year with an injury. And then the other running back in the room is four-star running back Michael Turner. All the talent in the world, but he's recovering from a season-ending injury as a senior as well. So lots of questions, I think, behind the top two.
Yeah, so the depth just shot, but we were actually talking about Knighton right before you came on. Think he's a stud for sure. Where does the Scattaboo nickname come from? Where did I hear that? And because I had heard, like you just said, that he was super speedy, pass catcher out of the backfield. That's what we knew out of high school. But when I think Scattaboo, I think knocking dudes' heads off.
Right. So I actually got that quote from Devin Bobby at Big 12 Media Days. We talked and he said some of the guys on the team call him Mini Scattaboo. And I think that when I say he's so fast and just brings a different element, I think naturally people just take that as, oh, he's not very physical then, or he can't run between the tackles. But that's not really the case. He was actually really efficient in goal line situations during the spring. I think you're going to see more of that in the fall as well. He is physical and he's rather big. I mean, I think they have him listed at 212 pounds already, which is bigger than what Bryson Washington was running at last year. So I think the strength and the power is there. That's probably where you get it from. He runs very angry, which I think is very important for a running back. You cannot be timid to be efficient in this offense. And so he's going to bring that, but just the pop, right? That speed when you get to the second level is just a little different with him.
Two position groups I wanted to ask you about today, just because I think they're interesting. I think for most people watching football, they're two groups that jump off the TV. One is the wide receivers. Huge news with Ashton Hawkins finally being confirmed to be eligible. That obviously is tremendous. He was a great weapon last year. So you've got Cameron, you've got Hawkins, and then I'm really curious for your read on who plays next to those guys. Some big names, some big talent. Kobe Prentice, Cole Wilson, Jaden Porter, freshmen like Taz Williams, right? There's a lot of talent in that room, but a lot of unproven at Baylor talent in that room. So who do you think is most often lined up next to those guys, and how will Baylor deploy that receiving core?
That's a great question, because I think they do have a lot of options, and you actually didn't even name a name that's really come on in fall camp, and that's Lewis Brown IV. The transfer from San Diego State a year ago. He went to San Diego State, played there, then went to Colorado State for just a hot minute during the spring, and then transferred to Baylor. This guy is very, very good. And when they got him from the transfer portal, I wrote a big article on it and just kind of dug a little deeper into PFF stuff and just seeing how he would fit in. And man, he matches what Baylor needs, and he matches what Sawyer Robertson is really good at. And so those deep rail shots down the right sideline, he is extremely efficient. I think he posted I think it was like 91 was his PFF grade on deep ball shots like that. He had more contested catches than Josh Cameron, Keatron Jackson, and Hal Presley combined. And I think that's really important. He's going to go up in high point football. He measured in at 6'2", which I really wanted to see. I wanted to see him at least be in that 6'2", 6'3" range. So was very happy about that. I think there's a chance that he starts at the outside receiver. I think there's a possibility there. And so if you have him, Josh Cameron, Ashton Hawkins, and then Michael Trigg as kind of, let's just say if they're in a 4-wide set, that would make a lot of sense to me. Now, saying that, they have other guys as well, and they're going to mix and match guys. I just think there is something that he brings to the table with that deep shot ability. And again, the contested catch ability. That's just something they don't really have on the roster. Other guys like Kobe Prentice, Cole Wilson, and Jaden Porter, I think are the three that round out the room as far as guys who are going to play a big role. And as we saw a year ago, they like shuffling in receivers. The problem was a year ago, they didn't have enough guys to really shuffle in. This year, they absolutely do. I'm very excited about the wide receiver room. The addition of Ashton Hawkins, that kind of being a guaranteed thing, rose my expectations. I feel really confident about it, and Lewis Brown's emergence is just another reason for, I think, Baylor fans to feel good about the room.
Love everything you just said. And here's my only concern. I think when you open the season, let's just make up some names. If you're playing like Stephen F. Austin, Tarleton State, a team in that level to open your season, you can kind of play like 9 receivers and give them all a couple routes and say, this guy works, this guy needs more time. We're coming out against Auburn. So you kind of need to know, hey, here's the 4 or 5 that are going to get a lot of reps. But you're giving me some optimism here with Lewis Brown. The other group that is just parallel across the way, Baylor's probably biggest weakness last season was secondary. Now, you could argue it was pass rush as well. Those two things obviously hand in glove, complement each other like nothing else in football. But I feel very confident Baylor has addressed pass rushing with the guys that have come in all across that defensive line, some of the linebackers as well. I know nothing about this defensive backfield. And the one guy I was confident in, you named earlier, Devin Turner, lost for the season to injury. So what can you tell us about that secondary? Who's going to play? Who's going to step up? And should Baylor fans be optimistic, or is that still a question mark on the whole for this football team?
Man, fall camp has really kind of solidified things for me in the secondary in particular. So you mentioned the pass rush. I do think that's going to be far improved, and that does help everything in your defensive secondary. It helps a ton. They didn't get enough pressure, and when Steve Linton wasn't on the field, it was like, man, they're getting zero pressure on the quarterback. And so now Marion Winston, Matthew Fobbs-White, these blitzing linebackers, whether it's Keaton Thomas or Phoenix Jackson, they have a lot of options to get after the quarterback, along with Cooper Lands and Jackie Marshall and those other guys up front. I think that's where it starts. But then you look at the secondary, and the group that I'm starting to really just have a lot of belief in is actually the cornerbacks. Paul Gonzalez came in from TCU, and I think he's done a fantastic job this offseason, just kind of bringing, I think, a different level of technique to the room. But I also think, man, I just really think these players are enjoying learning from him. And I think there's this kind of rejuvenation in the room. And when you look at kind of what they have on the depth chart, the one guy that I continue to just hear great things about is Tevin Williams. Baylor fans know him. He just can't stay healthy, but when he has been on the field, he's been good and productive. I think he's going to take a big step forward this year. I think he could have that kind of season like, Jamison Houston had in 2019, where it's like this guy who played a lot of football hadn't really had his best year, and then his senior year, man, just was fantastic. I think Tevin Williams has that ability. I love the upside with LeVar Thornton, who has consistently been the number 2 cornerback since the spring. I think he's going to get the start there opposite Tevin Williams. And then their depth. I mean, Caden Jenkins, who got a lot of heat last year after the LSU performance. I think he's far better than people are giving him credit for. I think he's going to have a much better season, and learning from Paul Gonzalez is important for him. And then you have Calvin Simpson-Hunt, who's just this athletic freak. You just hope that he hits, right? But athleticism-wise and body type-wise, he certainly fits the mold. I love what they're doing at cornerback. I think that position is going to be far improved from where it was a year ago, but I still have concerns at safety. And this week, not great news. Dave Randa mentioned Carl Williams is operating at 70% right now. I believe he was operating at maybe like 80% last year. He never got healthy, and you never got to see the full emergence of Carl Williams. And it's tough because the Baylor staff keeps saying Carl is an alpha kind of out there in the secondary. They love Carl Williams. And I just don't think Baylor fans have gotten to see him fully healthy. And I think that's something that they're going to be missing. And clearly, I don't think he's going to be 100% for a little while. So that's going to challenge their depth already. You have an unproven guy in Tyler Turner, who was a 4-star prospect, transferred in from Oregon, but he's unproven. So it's kind of like he hasn't played a lot of football. What's he going to bring to the table? The talent is there, but is it really going to hit? And then you got Devin Bobby, who I do think people should feel confident in. I think he's the one piece right now in the safety room that I think kind of know what you're going to get from him. And he's had his best offseason since being in Waco. So I mentioned those 3 pieces, but then after that, the depth is where I just have an enormous amount of questions, particularly at deep safety. I think at star, you can get by. DJ Coleman is a good player. I think he could be fine there. Kendrick Simpkins, you know what you're getting as far as him being a blitzer. You can make it work, right? But at deep safety, after Tyler Turner and after Devin Bobby, you're looking at, Micah Gifford, who showed some physicality on special teams last year, but hasn't played a ton at all. I think you'll probably have some growing pains if he were to be asked to play a significant role this year. You got Jacob Redding, who was a former walk-on. You got Chris Wokema, who hasn't played a lot of football either. Cameron Jenkins, same boat, hasn't played a ton of football. Just a lot of guys that I'm naming there, but not a lot of proven commodities and not a lot of belief in my eyes that if they were to lose another safety, that they were just going to be fine. And so I think that's kind of where things lie there. I feel less confident about the safety room compared to the cornerbacks.
Really important, as we said from the top, for that pass rush to be efficient. So you're not counting on those safeties to cover deep zone too long. And again, Auburn, great receiving core coming in August 29th. We're going to see pretty quickly which of these guys step up. Quick question from a viewer, Grayson. I would love for you to address this because I've been excited about this as well. We get SPAV year 2. Like everything we just saw last year was SPAV year 1, and it was outstanding. Gabriel asked, with it being the second year in SPAV's offense, what ways do you think this offense will improve? I'm curious to your answer to that as well.
Oh man, what ways? I think that's an important question because Jake Spavital was on Baylor Plus with Colt and I last year doing Inside Baylor Sports, and he mentioned how his second year is where his offenses go crazy. And so basically that led you to believe they were probably operating at maybe 80% by the end of the year. And now you go into this year and you got all these returning guys. I think there's an expectation that there's an uptick here. I think in general, it's becoming more confident in what you're doing and becoming more consistent in what you're doing so that you avoid what happened at the beginning of last year. You saw them improve throughout the season, but it needs to start game 1 because of the schedule that Baylor has. I don't necessarily think they're going to get too much more creative. I think it's more just becoming more proficient at the things they were already really good at. And so you're still going to see the inside zone. I think you're going to see some of the wide zone that they implemented going into the Texas Tech game a year ago. You're still going to see wide receiver screens. You're still going to see deep rail shots down the sideline. I think the factors that really change for them are experience and then depth at wide receiver, which depth at wide receiver could allow you to take more deep shots down the field. It gives you different body types, which I think is important. You can run more screens to different guys because now you have Cole Wilson, Kobe Prentice, and Ashton Hawkins instead of basically just Monterey Baldwin from a year ago that you were running those type of plays for, and Ashton to some extent. But I think in general, those different body types are very important. Having more outside receivers is also very important for you to be able to take deep shots down the sideline and kind of take advantage of your one-on-one matchups. I think that's kind of the biggest thing for Spav. And don't forget, they run a lot of option routes in this offense. And so because of that, getting comfortable and more familiar with your teammates is actually super important for the quarterback-wide receiver relationship.
Grayson Grundhoefer, great stuff as always, my friend. Why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you, find your podcast, and read your stuff? All good stuff there.
On YouTube, just be sure to check out the Sikkim 365 YouTube page. We have the Bearcast. Comes out kind of bi-weekly right now. It's changed a lot since the end of last year. And then, of course, be sure to check out Sikkim 365 Premium for all kinds of Baylor coverage, more news and notes on fall camp as things are kind of rounding out. I'll also have season predictions as well if you're kind of into that kind of thing also. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Sikkim 365 Premium is definitely where it's at.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Grayson. And I am definitely into the season prediction kind of stuff myself, man. Glad you're doing that. Thankful for your great coverage, man. Keep up the good work. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty.
Yes, sir. Grayson Grundhoefer, excellent guy. Good friend of the show. Good friend of us. Great resource for Baylor. Baylor football coming back with Shehan Jeyarajah next. This is the Pete Sousa Show.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. BizChair.com. Your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Well. Shehan Jeyarajah. Dude, you are on like every podcast in America this week. Can you just, like, Monday through Friday this week, how many shows are you going on, dude?
Oh, man. I don't know how this week got so busy for me. I'm doing like 4 or 5 shows a day. It's actually
holy
insane.
cow.
I'm doing this one, obviously, from 10:40 to 11. Then I've got one at 11:30. Then I got one at 12. Then I'm also doing our podcast at 1 live on YouTube. It's It's a crazy day. It's a crazy day.
Well, listen, when we want to talk college football, we know the number one guy in America, Shehan Jeyarajah, Baylor's own. I love to point that out. Baylor Lariat, bred in the campus in Waco, man. Glad you're here. Hey, do you have an AP vote?
I do not. AP, if you're watching, get me on.
Let's get him a vote because they put out the top 25, and I'm going to throw it up again. We talked about this yesterday, and you had a take this week that you thought Baylor belonged. And just for those watching, you are not a ride or die homer who's going to just inflate Baylor just because. Baylor obviously here receiving votes 28th, if you wanted to look at it that way. What would you change about this top 25? What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And why do you think Baylor deserves a spot?
Well, I think overall it was a pretty good poll. And I'll tell you what, too, as somebody who has a vote in our CBS 136 rankings, where you're ranking every single team in America, once you get to that second, third tier, it gets a lot harder than people realize to try to parse through some of these teams. A couple things for me, though. I think that the voters are expecting some teams, especially those in the SEC, to maybe take a step from last season, even though they've lost some key pieces. I think of a team like Michigan, they end the year strong, but they have a lot of question marks on that team, even with Bryce Underwood coming in at quarterback. I think of a team like Illinois as well, that I think that they kind of get the bump because they had a good season and return their quarterback, but they don't return their defense or their best receivers. Ole Miss, completely new roster, essentially. I don't really think that they belong in the AP top 25 at all at this point. And even when you start talking about Florida being a top 15 team, Oklahoma being a top 20 team, I think that people are just a little too projection heavy with teams that have struggled to deliver. From my perspective, I think that Baylor did belong in the top 25. And it's funny, I think for me, I look at the order of teams from the Big 12, right? And we'll obviously get to it a little bit deeper coming up, but there were 4 teams in, and then on top of that, the first 3 teams out of the poll were all Big 12 teams. So you're kind of projecting them as the 7th best Big 12 team coming into the year. Now, all of them are very close outside of Arizona State, which I think is fair. But I think that Baylor, when you look at what they have coming back, they are on a different level, especially on the offense side of the ball, than a lot of these other teams. Of course, they have, in my opinion, a top 2 quarterback in the conference in Sawyer Robertson. They've got the best running back in the conference in Bryson Washington. They've got 4 offensive linemen returning. I think they've done a really good job of building in the front 7. That last piece is whether Paul Gonzalez is going to be able to get enough out of the secondary. But if he does, and I think Paul Gonzalez is one of the most respected secondary coaches in the country, this is a team that talent-wise can contend with anybody in the conference, and I think that they're going to be right there at the end of the year.
Totally agree with you. Love hearing that as a Baylor fan as well. Now, folks might remember the Big 12 Conference opted not to have a media preseason poll this season because last year, Arizona State was picked at the bottom and, of course, went on to win the conference and compete very well in the college football playoffs. So what I wanted to do today, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun, if the Big 12 won't do it, you and I should do it. We should put out our Big 12 preseason poll. So I've got one. You've got one. I think I would like to let you go first. Let me throw up your Big 12 preseason poll, and you talk us through why you picked some of these teams in the way that you did.
Yeah, well, at the top, I have Texas Tech, obviously a breakout team in 2025 on top. Baylor at number 2, Arizona State at number 3. So I'm reading this off because there's so many damn teams in this conference now. Kansas State at number 4, Utah at number 5. I view there as being sort of a clear top 4 contenders in this group. Utah 5, TCU 6, Iowa State 7, Kansas 8, BYU 9. Now I want to touch on BYU in just a second, but Houston, Colorado, Cincinnati, Arizona, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Central Florida. So I think that, again, you really have to look at it in tiers. I view the top 4 as being a tier unto itself of the top contenders in the conference. I view Utah and TCU as kind of being swing cases, but all of the top 9 teams being capable of winning the Big 12. When you get to 10, I think that Houston is a high upside team that really could force their way into the top half of the Big 12 if some things work out. And when I look at the bottom, I mean, in UCF, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Arizona, it's just completely new rosters, essentially. And so a lot of unknowns with those programs right now. But for me, I do have Texas Tech versus Baylor as my Big 12 championship game, with Texas Tech winning in a butt bowl that we're not going to get in the regular season this year.
Absolutely. So I like where you're going with this. I'm going to throw mine up here in just a second and just tell you, I also tiered mine, but I've got a couple of big differences with you clearly. So here's my poll. And so I agree with you that Arizona State and Baylor should be towards the top. Dude, for me, so much of evaluating college football is, do you believe in the coach and do you believe in the quarterback? So you'll see for those first 4 teams on my list, I absolutely believe in the coach. I absolutely believe in the quarterback. Texas Tech, we know what they did in the transfer portal. We know how they've built this roster. You wrote that excellent piece that we talked about last month. I don't know if I believe in that quarterback. I don't know if Baron Morton is really good or really mediocre. I'm not sure. So that was kind of the factor for me. But here's how I tiered it. I think those top 5 teams could all be the favorite to win the conference. Kansas is my swing team. Utah through BYU on my list, I could see finishing top 3 or bottom 3. Like, I literally just have no idea how they're going to come out. TCU is probably the team I'm most underrating here, but forget about them. I hate the Horned Frogs. And then Houston to me is a swing case between those two. And then the teams in red here are my teams that I just think have no shot. Like you said, complete roster turnover, totally unsure of what they're going to look like. Tough sledding for them. So let me click a couple graphics here, since we've got the one-man crew, and we'll throw up both. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold. There it is. Maybe. Boom. There's both of our lists in all of their glory. So the biggest disagreement, I think, between us is Iowa State, Shehan. That was the first thing I noticed when I looked at the list you sent me versus kind of my list. I mean, they get the quarterback back. I know they lose 2 really talented receivers to the Houston Texans, but man, like Matt Campbell, Rocco Becht, like, tell me why you've got Iowa State all the way down at 7.
Well, it's interesting, right? You mentioned trusting coaching staffs and trusting quarterbacks. And those are 2 very valuable things to do 100%. But I think that sometimes analysis can err too much in that direction. And so I believe in Rocco Becht a lot, but his context just changed dramatically with 2 NFL receivers, like you mentioned, heading off to the Houston Texans. They have turnover also in the secondary, which was the best part of their team last year. Now, I expect them to be better against the run because they dealt with a lot of injuries in their front 7 last year. But so much had to go right for them to ultimately win 11 games, have the best season in program history. And all of a sudden now, I just don't see where that dynamic play is coming on offense. I really like Chase Sowell as a receiver coming over from East Carolina. And I think Xavier Townsend is considered to be a pretty high upside piece there. But even if both of those guys are all Big 12 players, they could still have downgraded at the wide receiver position. And the other piece with them too, and probably the swing thing for me, is I don't know whether they're going to be able to run the ball with consistency. And if they can't be good down to down running the ball, I just think they're going to have a really tough time when they're playing against some of these better teams in the Big 12.
That's fair. I think for me, it's like there's been a consistency with Matt Campbell, and I'm talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth because I was kind of making fun of Pete a couple weeks ago for ranking Campbell the #1 coach in the Big 12. I think you ranked him #1 in your recent rankings as well.
I'm a big Matt Campbell fan.
So I think there's other coaches who've won conference and national championships in the conference, but I digress.
Well, most of them aren't coaching at Iowa State University.
Correct. But regardless, like I don't think a Matt Campbell team finishes 7th. That would really surprise me. The other one that I think is such a wild card, and I've got them at 8, you've got them at 11. I could literally see Colorado competing for the championship or winning like 2 conference games. What's your read on the state of Colorado right now?
Yeah, I don't see them as a team that can contend for the conference. I think that when you look at the way that they've structured their offense over the last 2 years, it was a lot of almost playground ball, right? With Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and a really good wide receiver core in general bailing them out in a lot of cases. And by the way, they still have a really good wide receiver core. I just don't think that they have a quarterback who's going to be able, now this is me talking out of both sides of my mouth, kind of diminishing the quarterback, but I don't think that they have a guy who's necessarily going to be able to make something out of nothing. When I look at Colorado, they lost a bunch of offensive linemen again. They brought in 9 new offensive linemen. They have their 3rd straight year with a new offensive line coach. I think that situation is going to be a mess, and it's either going to be Caden Salter, who's not really a run-around kind of guy. He's a running quarterback, but more of a designed running quarterback, or it's going to be a true freshman in Julian Lewis. So I just don't see the upside for that offense just because I don't think they'll be able to protect well enough. Now, defensively, I think they will be not just improved, but potentially pretty good. I think that 11 is frankly pretty decent respect. That's probably a 4-5, 5-4 record in Big 12 play, potentially, depending on how things go. That's plenty to me. I think they're going to be right there fighting for bowl eligibility. I expect them to get there, finish, with 6 or 7 wins. I just do not see real upside for this team with the amount of talent that they lost.
Here's my last question on this side of things. So we both kind of have this bottom tier that features, I think, some really well-respected head coaches. In particular, I'm thinking of Willie Fritz at Houston, Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, and even Rich Rodriguez and Scott Frost coming back to West Virginia and Central Florida. Even some of these bottom teams, you could look at a Rich Rod team and be like, man, could they sneak up and finish 5th, 6th in the conference? It would shock me, but maybe. Which of those programs do you think has the best shot to really elevate out of this bottom group this season?
Well, the irony is that I'm actually going to lean on the coach that I probably feel worst about in the conference, and that's Scott Satterfield in Cincinnati. When you look at so many of the other teams in the bottom tier, it's literally brand new rosters. Oklahoma State has 65 new players on campus. West Virginia has 60 plus new players. UCF has 50 plus new players. Cincinnati is the one team that's actually in the midst of a multi-year rebuild, and they're on the back end of it. And when you talk about teams that have a chance to jump up in the Big 12, it's going to be teams that have some level of experience and returning production. Now, the big question for them is, I think, less their roster, which I think has some pretty good players. They're better at wide receiver. They've got a great quarterback in Brendan Sorsby, and defensively, Dante Corleone in the middle of that defense is as good as it gets in college football. The question is the coaching staff. The question is whether they're going to be able to get the best out of this team. Because I'll tell you what, if you took Chris Kleiman and his staff and put them in charge of Cincinnati's roster for this season, this might be a top 5 program in the Big 12 in 2025. The question is going to be, can they get out of their own way? Can they be more disciplined and make it happen?
Man, I didn't even think about Cincinnati as one of those teams that could pop, but you've halfway talked me into it. Good stuff. Dude, okay, last question. Week 1 in this conference. You've got Kansas State, Iowa State playing in Ireland. Of course, Baylor welcomes Auburn to Waco. What are the 2 or 3 matchups you are most paying attention to week 1 of college football to see maybe how this Big 12 shakes out?
Well, I think Baylor-Auburn is one of the most important games of the year, frankly, for the Big 12, because Auburn's going to be a team that's likely going to be in the middle class of the SEC and hopes to have an opportunity to jump higher than that. Baylor's a team that wants to be at the top of the Big 12 and maybe even fighting for playoff eligibility and maybe even at large case. So they really need to win this game. I think that it would be a huge setback, not just for Baylor, but for the Big 12 getting 2 teams into the playoff if they're not able to take care of business. Another one that I think is going to be fascinating. I mean, obviously that Kansas State Iowa State game, I feel like goes without saying, because I think that the winner of that game is a Big 12 contender, and I think the loser of that game is not a Big 12 contender because of the way that their schedules line up. You just can't lose a tiebreaker against a team that's going to be right there in the conversation at the end of the year. I'll also throw a quick shout out to TCU North Carolina. I think that we didn't talk about them. I think TCU is one of the most undervalued teams in the Big 12 heading into 2025. And they have a huge showcase game against a North Carolina team that I don't think is going to be very good. So if you go out there and put on a great performance against the greatest football coach of all time, I think people start talking about you.
Man, great call out. Pete and I have been arguing about UNC and Belichick this past week too. So you just fit right into everything we've been doing here on the Pete Sousa Show. Shehan Jeyarajah, you've got a new podcast over there at CBS Sports. I want you to tell everybody about it and tell them where they can find it.
Yeah, we just launched a new show called the College Football Insiders. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's our CBS sports team, which I would argue is the best in the industry right now, covering college football. We're all coming together. We're having a live show. It'll be 2 times a week during the preseason, 3 times a week when the season starts. Our second episode, which I'll be on, will be at 1 p.m. Central Time today, stream live on YouTube, or you can get it wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks so much, bro. Always good to see you. And we will be talking to you again very soon. For all things Big 12 and college football, make sure to follow Shehan Jeyarajah on X and check out that College Football Insiders podcast. Good to see you, man.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's going to do it for today's edition of the Pete Sousa Show. Thank you so much for swinging on by. Pete will be back tomorrow. I've been Scotty Swingler. Thanks so much to our sponsors, especially Crawford Austin Properties and Slovachex. We're very appreciative that we get to do this. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. We'll talk to you tomorrow. It's the Pete Sousa Show.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.